Powerful people in D.C. can go to jail. We asked Jim Jordan about Dr. Fauci potentially going to prison this last week. Jim Jordan was on the program, and his comments on Dr. Fauci made a lot of news, talking about potentially sending Fauci to prison for lying to Congress, among other things, obviously. It went like this. So specifically before your committee and also before Rand Paul over in the Senate, Dr. Fauci has, of course, absolved himself of all funding of gain of function. He said he doesn't know anything about it. It is verifiable and demonstrable that he lied. Now, there are codes in Congress. I have a code right here, 18 U.S. Code 1001. Statements, false statements to Congress. Says you can be imprisoned. Says you can be imprisoned for 8 years if you lie to Congress. It seems like there has never been a more clear-cut case of some individual lying to Congress.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, there could be a referral, but you would refer it to the Biden Justice Department. I don't know that they're gonna pursue that. But you could definitely do that. You could have one of the committees, the Senate Judiciary Committee, could do a referral. I doubt if they will with the Democrats in charge. We could do a referral potentially. I would frankly prefer to just have Dr. Fauci come back in and take another round of questions here. But we're building the case. Like we had Dr. Redfield testify last week. Chairman Winstrup did. I thought he was great, as were the other witnesses that were brought in. So again, laying that foundation. I do think Dr. Fauci and the CDC changed the definition of gain of function research so that Fauci has like this wiggle room. But they were juicing up this virus, no doubt about it. Juicing up this virus, making it more. I don't know the technical, but making it juiced up and more deadly, I guess, and maybe the correct word. So they were doing that in this lab, and I think that's clear. So we'll just have to see as we move through this investigation.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, you've been vilified on the far right. I know you know that, and we've seen Elon Musk tweet that his pronouns. He's the owner of Twitter, that his pronouns are prosecute. Fauci, others in the GOP have talked about arresting you and prosecuting you.
Well, I mean, there's no response to that craziness, Jim. I mean, prosecute me for what? What are they talking about?
That was Dr. Fauci on CNN saying, prosecute me for what? That's an exact response to us asking Jim Jordan about prosecuting him. So Dr. Fauci runs out of his rat hole, scurries to the nearest TV camera that he possibly can, get in front of, licks, brushes his hair back, his ears, his giant rat ears back, sniffs a little bit at the cheese inside of the camera, and then starts to lie again. And that's what Dr. Fauci does. This is why people like Elon Musk tweet, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. 1.2 million likes. The truth resonates, Elon Musk follows up with. Well, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of resonating online, our next guest is somebody who met Dr. Fauci in the wild, outside of the rat hole. Mr. Rat Doctor got out of his, rat hamster wheel and went out to dinner in Washington, D.C. to order a stinky cheese board. Melissa Lively met Dr. Fauci and then took a very interesting photo with him. She joins the program now. Melissa, thank you so much for being on the program. I think we should just toss up the image right now. This is very interesting. Went viral across social media. It was everywhere. And why don't you talk us through what happened here?
Well, hey, Benny, thanks so much for having me on the show. So happy, so excited to be here. And you're right. I don't know who let the hamster out of his cage, but he was out, just sniffing around for some cheese in DC when I was there last weekend. And the tiramisu had just landed on the table. I was out at a business dinner with clients and friends and saw America's Doctor and just had to get a photo. So, jumped out of my seat. And of course, I've been a publicist for 20 years. I'm used to working with people who have egos. Well, nobody has an ego like good old Dr. Fauci, but I've worked with my fair share of interesting people. And, the fastest way to his heart is to go right up to him and just say, I'm your biggest fan. I have a picture with you. So he just could not resist, big old smile for the camera. And, I'm in PR. I know what goes viral. I know how this game works. And just took the picture that was worth many, many, many thousands, if not millions of words.
Yeah. I tweeted out, I said, you spoke for all of us. So I'm more interested in the play-by-play. So were you at Fauci's table? Did you see him? You're at a restaurant in D.C., clearly. I can see the wine bottles in the background. Like, so you see Fauci across the restaurant, and you just go up to him, say, I'm your biggest fan?
Yeah, he was leaving. There is absolutely no way in hell I would break bread with that man. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was not having dinner with Fauci. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's right. You're liable to have some Wuhan soup there. What so then did you know you're going to toss up the bird?
You know, I have kind of my signature move that I pull, when I'm taking pictures of somebody of note. And, that was just all I could muster up was just how, all that deep-seated hatred and just disgust for this man who was just an absolute liar and a criminal.
Yes.
And just had to speak basically on behalf of humanity, how we all feel.
Yes, how wonderful. Speak on behalf of all of humanity. You did. You spoke for all of us. You spoke for all of us Americans who would like to actually tell Dr. Fauci in person what we think of him. We see him on all these TV programs. All they do is fellatiate the guy day and night. Like it's like they just worship him. It's a cult. And he doesn't understand that he's the most hated man in America. I think he really does live in a bubble. He doesn't understand that he's the most hated man possibly in America.
Well, the questions that people were asking me, they were like, how is it possible that Dr. Fauci is able to walk the streets and go into, a hot restaurant in DC and have dinner? And I mean, for one, he had 2 federal agents with him. So I guess nobody's really getting that close to him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. But I mean, it's shocking. I mean, and the fact that he still thinks that people come up to him and love him, it's funny because it's like, usually the people in his fan club are have purple hair and their face is full of piercings. So I'm a little surprised that he wasn't, a little suspect when I walked up and wanted a picture, but he's not as smart as he pretends that he is. He's actually pretty stupid in my opinion.
Something I like asking people is, how did Dr. Fauci hurt you? Because he's hurt everyone's life. I, for instance, had to move my family 1,000 miles. I was living peacefully and quite happily, actually, on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. I'd been there for 10 years. That's where my job was. That's where my work was. And because of Dr. Fauci's policies, I had to essentially uproot my family at great behest and move down here. Right? And the block became too unsafe. They defunded the police and everything went to hell in Washington, D.C. I don't know where you're located, but everyone has a Dr. Fauci story. What's yours?
Well, I mean, where do I begin? I mean, this man destroyed my business. I mean, I will never forget the 24 hours in which I just received phone call after phone call after phone call of people we're firing you. We can't pay you. Your contracts aren't good. We're not open. They're closing down our business. We can't afford to pay you. You're our publicist. There's nothing you can publicize if we're not open. So, I mean, that was horrifying. I watched my father-in-law die through a window. And with his hospital policies that basically, in my opinion, were institutionalized murder, and I fought tooth and nail against hospital administration to get him out of the hospital. They refused. They pumped him full of drugs. They shoved a ventilator down his throat. And, I believe in my heart, if we were able to remove him from the hospital, which we couldn't because we were unable to advocate for our loved ones in the hospital because of Dr. Fauci's policies. I watched my father-in-law die. My uncle passed away. I lost my business. I lost my sanity. I mean, it's just insulting to my intelligence, to everyone's intelligence with this mask nonsense, with this, the stupid spots on the floor, the disinfecting groceries, all of it was absurd and ridiculous. And I feel like it was just so demoralizing that a lot of people lost it, myself included.
Yeah. If you, I know you would never break bread with him, but if you had more than just a passing glance with Dr. Fauci, what would you tell him?
What would I tell him? I mean, I hope you like it hot because you're going to be in hell for eternity. I mean, that's really my opinion. I mean, I think he's a disgusting person who has no regard for humanity at all whatsoever. I mean, and it's, we all, are professional people that like to make money, but I just cannot ever think of a dollar amount that would be worth, everybody's like, oh, follow the money. It's like, how could you even think about doing what he did for money? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's just something deeper. Like, he's just a very deranged, evil person at his core. There's just something so wrong with him that would ever think that what he did was okay. And what he did was moral and just and ethical. And, you know, he's supposed, you know, a doctor, he's the most unethical doctor, you know, that doesn't follow the oath that he took, you know, to care for people and do the right thing. I mean, he's disgusting. He's disgusting.
Yes.
Disgusting creature.
Yes.
He's worthless to me.
Yes, it's hard to find the adjectives for a man who worked to create these super viruses, funded them, even though it was illegal, moved them to China where it was unsafe, promised a pandemic on Trump's first day in office, and then made it far, far worse than it ever needed to be. 7 million lives. And
he's still lying. I mean, he goes in front of Congress, he lies. He goes on TV, he lies. He's a liar. To me, I mean, that is the alpha and the omega of a person's character. I mean, if you're a liar, if you'll lie about something small, you'll lie about anything. And to me, like, that's just it. He's a liar. Yep.
He is an accomplice to the murder of 7.7 million people. We thank you for at least using one finger to say what we all wish we could say to Dr. Fauci. Melissa Lively.
Thanks for having me
being on the program. Thank you for watching. Our channel is here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears, they taste just like sweet, delicious ice cream. Salty, too. We ridicule the establishment and the libs because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you like what you saw, please punch the subscribe button, click like, and ring the little bell so that you know when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And make sure that you subscribe to our email list just in case the plug gets pulled, as tends to happen. If you want to see more of our videos, click here or here. My name is Benny Johnson. Stay free, Base Patriots.